Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for today's Sunday service in person and online. Today's Sunday service, after Sunday service, let's talk about this pandemic. And I'd like to hear from you too what is good to know about the pandemic and what we need to do. And now we begin the service. Pray for the ending of the novel coronavirus pandemic. 清見金光大臣様、天地金の神様。清見金光大臣様、天地金の神様。With all our hearts of appreciation for love and virtue as we love to live in this very moment. Currently, a pandemic rapidly spreading through the world. The novel coronavirus pandemic causing much concern and raising anxiety among people and nations. Thus, we offer hearts in prayer to you for this pandemic to end as soon as possible. Sadly, there are those who have lost their lives as we cover this virus. We put our hands together to pray for their spiritual peace and happiness. We also pray for those who are infected by the virus to quickly recover and heal completely. In order that may continue to contribute to society and the world. We pray for political, economical, and educational reform. All the anxiety, distress, and blame we may have in hovering with dissipate, we bless with the return of social order. For those suffering in the midst pandemic, please allow their hope, faith, and livelihood be restored. That now more than ever, we commit to renew our hearts of appreciation. Having a heart of becoming, praying for and guiding others. And we all be awake in truth that a faith that helps others, helps ourselves. Please use us to help in this lover endeavor in this pandemic and bring peace to the world. It is our sincere prayer that people of the world are your children, and only have peace of mind, but live happily, safely, in good health. Yami Konko Daiji Sama, Tenchi Kame no Kami Sama. Mediation prayer. Prayer for page 2. Let us seek the sacred mediation of the Yami Konko Daiji, sincerely and wholeheartedly, each and every day. We will receive the mediation anew with all hearts and souls on this day, this very moment. Yami Konko Daiji Sama, Yami Konko Daiji Sama. Yami Konko Daiji Sama, Yami Konko Daiji our sincere apologies be acceptable to you, our divine parent. We acknowledge the mistakes and the misunderstandings, arrogance and ignorance of the divine favor. We apologize for our shortcomings and irreverence from past generations. Guide us to amend the way of living to reflect your divine will with a pure, joyful, and loving heart, always love with you. Coming prayer, reverently we pray, that grace to the heaven, the rest is ever heard, time flows with the sea, here to pass with the end. In heaven and earth, the life and interest of, in heaven and earth, the truth of all the know. For thee the wondrous form, for thee the wondrous works. Let us pray Tenji Kane no Kami, let us pray the divine parent of the universe. Kami love and the care for all humanity. Although full of between heaven and earth, pray be a Kami of the divine parent, to live in Kami the infinite blessings. This is the way, yet many to lie in the way, her love sink within selfishness. They suffer the sight of misfortune, with ease to Kami's sorrow. Our founding father, Konko, suffered many trials in this world, but help us with faith and sincerity, and receive the Kami's blessing, and began a life of future fulfillment of Kami humanity. Humbly we pray, the divine parent who wish to us the fulfillment. Konko accept the cause of mediation, thou into the mutual benefit of Kami humanity. By day he taught the way of faith to all who saw him, expound the blessings of the heaven and earth, and the evening of the Kami of the night. By night he prayed for those who grieved, seeking the salvation for all who suffered, and the evening of the night day. The ear to pause and the word change, getting away from his task, the divine task of mediation. That was giving the secret Tenji Kakitsuke, the guiding frame for daily life. The divine favor was as with you and blessing flow universally, establishing the way of eternal prosperity, the way of mediation of Konko. By this wondrous revelation, revealing knowledge of the way, through all the hardships of this world, to pain body and soul. The way of mediation teaches us to turn our hearts to Kami, with a regard for day or night, when the weary afar. The way of mediation teaches us to pray with total trust. While living, however divine favor, we offer our sincere apologies and blessings of our faith. Thus we will faith every day, seeking to rejoice in divine favor. Thus came for the living pain, and invited through the way. Thus guide those who are lost, and awaken them to a life of purpose. Kami is the fulfilling us, we all fulfill Kami. In this way, mutual fulfillment be manifest in this world. May Kami to wish for true peace and the well-being of all people be fulfilled. We humbly pray, we earnestly pray. Recitation of Tenchi Kakisuke, page 6. Kiyami Konko Daijin Tenchi Kame no Kami Isshinji Migai Kagewa Waga Kokoro ni Ari Kongetsu Tonnichi de Tanomei. Pray sincerely with all your heart, be one with Kami. Kami the blessing begin within, heart swiftful and caring. Kami joy, look to Kami always, now and forever, on this very day. Pray. Adoration prayer. Lift thy up, for heaven soaring above. Lift thy up, for heaven soaring above. Over our heads in prayer, for earth reaching deep. Living within the sanctification of Kami to be giving. How happy and grateful we are. The mediation of Kiyami Konko Daijin does not stop for a single day. The protection of the divine parent, herself burning the water. The blessing of Kami flow in the living through all generations. The ways of Kami are mysterious and wondrous beyond all understanding. Day by day, every day, earnestly and reverently, we pray the virtues of Kami, under the power of Kami. We pray the Konko Daijin, page 8. Kiyami Konko Daijin Sama, Kiyami Konko Daijin Sama, readily people in your name. You perform and practice a true and living faith. You devote yourself to Kami and will give you blessings divine. Then the word offered to be for you, revering the truth that Kami needs us after we need to Kami. We accepted Kami to which to give a life of mediation. That's the way mediation of the Kiyami Konko Daijin was formed. Countless number the saved, the fever, the burden were lifted, and the Kami too was fulfilled. The divine will was as we be. Kami thanks to praise Konko Daijin. Hear the path and the word change. Our section came one after another. Way of steadfast in faith and follow Kami with a question. Finally, revealed the name of Tenchi Kame no Kami. And Tenchi Kame no Kami said, I send the Kiyami Konko Daijin to bestow divine blessing and teach those who pray. The Kami need humanity, as the humanity needs Kami. With his great truth, Kami will flourish and prosperity be assured from generation to generation. You are bound to serve in mediation day and night. Hurting those who sought you, practice faith, receive blessing, and become one with Kami. You devote yourself fulfilling Kami to wish that everyone be saved to become one Kami. Kami praise you, Konko Daijin, for saving Kami and humanity. You comprehended this devotion and left this difficult world on the day considerably Konko Daijin said. Humbly we give thanks to you for the mediation that we have been on from generation to generation. Through disciples and theirs in turn, we have prayed for and why. We give you one this blessing and the few witness divine favor. We reflect your life of love and reverently pray in great virtue. Mitama prayer, paragraph to page 12. Spirits of those who have gone before us, you were given the gift of life, and as the first nameless universe, you issued into the faithfully, each according to his small of years. You will be remembered eternally, your lively thoughts from generation to generation, on the bondage of society and ritual families, through the mysterious workings of kami, and to the Konko faith, walk away with Konko Declaration, respect the will of the divine parents. You may surrender to your faith, to take into the world beyond, leave to descendants. As well as boundless loving favors, previously audiences of spiritual homes, all divine spirits, who beseech you, stand by us, each and everyone. Receive the favor of coming and help us to fulfill tasks as the people with your belly. Take us, guide us, and reach us, that we develop the favor of faith, that we honor them through all generations. Heavenly peace and prosperity, waiting our home. Take us, guide us, and reach us. Ancestral prayer, page 14. Dear Mitama Spirit, everlasting integral part of the divine parent of the universe, we pray that the Mitama ancestral family, as well as the Mitama of all people, for eternal peace and happiness. To you who have gone before, we give you thanks wholeheartedly for paving the way through hardship and self-sacrifice. Each other that we who are here today can receive all the benefits of an endeavor. To you, ancestral spirits, we gratefully acknowledge the protection and guidance which you have based upon us. We pray that indeed the protection and guidance through our daily lives. We pray to realize and develop the divine virtue each and every day. Pray to the reverence of safety and Kikuye Kodama. Pray to supplement page 14. Dear reverence of safety and Kikuye Kodama. At the founding ministers of the Konko mission of Honolulu, we pray that honor the two of you for a lifetime of loving, healthy life. You touched the lives of the thousands of people and did incredible tasks to believers become ministers. We in turn spread this faith and the glory of the Interdependent communion to the Hawaiian Islands. We thank you for endless praise for the mediation. We thank you for continuing to serve you in prayer as mediator. We thank you for constantly watching over and guiding us. We thank you for love and the community of us. Yes, please receive our prayer in the heart and condition every day. Yes, we continue to pray for all of us. Receive our in times of joy and soundness, trying to defeat under the frustration. Yes, please continue to guide and embrace not only family, but also the ministers of believers with a heart of listen. And the Pepe, Ilo, Wakiela, by the name of proclamation, please assist when we call upon me the Spirit for help and guidance. Please continue to support the inspired who could not protect and the serve of the church that who established. Allow the virtue to be with thee to hold the glory of the Interdependent coming, and once again we rainbow good night, shine brightly. With much love, joy, and sincerity, we thank you. morning, everyone. How are you doing today? Thank you very much for attending today's service. Let's take a morning and wave and smile at each other. Morning, thank you. How are you? Last Sunday, I shared the teaching. People say that Kami has deserted them, but Kami never deserts people. People desert Kami. Also, Mother loves all her children, but she shows more attention to the child with the most problems. Coming the same, the more misfortune and unhappiness a person has, the stronger Kami's compassion toward that person is. So Kami-sama always want to take care of us, think about us. Even we think in difficulties for a long time, think like, oh, I have a problem, and still have a problem. Whereas Kami-sama, but don't worry, that Kami-sama always thinking about us. We don't need to. Kami-sama never deserves. So even though we don't know what kind of blessing we can receive, I mentioned that the church sensei shared about one of his member that when the small town election, mayor election, the two parties asked him the member to be the chief or president of the supportive organization because both so close. And he said he cannot say yes or not for both. And so hard to decide, so went to Otoritsugi. And they say, depending on Kami-sama, they thank you that because you were what? Enough to ask, so that's why you should appreciate that you that kind of person. And then let's depend on Kami-sama. A couple of days later, he got accident. Yeah, and he got a fracture and hospitalized while staying in the hospital. Election was started, campaign started, and everything done, and he discharged. So he cannot make this. He couldn't make a decision. And he doesn't need to betray anybody and no hurt. And they say that was a blessing. The sensei and also the person, the member, think that was a blessing. Never know. He got fractured in the hospital, he got accident, but he said that was a blessing. I never know what kind of blessing you receive. Kami-sama always thinking about us. So that's a recap. But we have a problem is that there's time to show we practice faith. There's a time we have a problem. There's a time to develop our faith. Maybe it takes time to receive blessing, but don't worry, Kami-sama will help us. So today, I watched the YouTube in April about pandemic. Actually, the Japanese National Institute for Environmental Studies released the YouTube video. The researcher, one of the head researchers, Dr. Koichi Goka, shared their idea. So it was very interesting. And I actually put the what's later section, and I watched again. So I'd like to share that. But I think when I watch that, that's important for us in this pandemic. Let's share the Konkokyo Declaration. Let me read. As humans who are all allowed to live by the great universe, we accept and respect all lives as being precious and placed to manifest in the ideal world where Kami and people and people and all things live together through an interdependent Aiyo kakeyo relationship. As humans, we are all allowed to live by the great universe. We accept and respect all life as being precious and pledge to manifest an ideal world where common people and all things live together through an interdependent Aiyo kakeyo relationship. 大いなる天地に生かされる人間としてすべての命を認め尊び神と人と万物が愛をかけよで共に生きる世界を実現する。Actually, that's in the back above the piano. So, we don't show it too often, but I think this is very important. This time, especially I watched the YouTube. Dr. Goka said, human, we are supported by the valuable ecological services, and biodiversity is a very important one to sustain this system. But this biodiversity is destroying. So that's the problem. It says 75% of the land are destroyed by human activities. And 1 million species are exterminating. It's like a lot. In the past 10 million years, if compared, it's more than 10 times or 100 times, much more. Many species disappearing. So that it's an area of extermination. There's a reason. Destruction of habitat, and overfishing, overhunting, pollution, environmental destruction, global warming, and bringing in alien species. So he said he likes to focus on bringing in alien species. That's related to the pandemic. So the alien species, we can see actually many, right? And because alien species is so new in their area, there's no natural enemies, so that increase a lot. The number of the species increase a lot, and they dominate the area, so that the balance go off. And he introduced one example that the 1980s, 90s, there are many amphibians in the world died a lot, even in the jungle, deep inside the jungle. And because of the infectious disease. And they found, 2006, they found infected disease, infected frogs in the pet shop. That's imported from somewhere, and they found that the frog has a disease. Oh no, it's no good, maybe the amphibian in Japan, living in Japan, maybe, disappeared because of that infectious disease. So they try to research, they to find where they came from. And they found there's types, the Brazilian types, Chinese types, the South African types, and the European types. And also found out that all 4 types actually in Japan. And they found actually this the bad infectious disease came from Japan. Japanese amphibians are cause of this disease. So actually, nothing happened. So this came from Japan, and they lived together for a long time. This, disease caused some kind of a mold, type of mold caused this infection, and amphibians live together for a long time, so they can live together already.
But go to the other places, they couldn't handle. The other amphibians couldn't handle this mold, kind of some mold, so they died a lot. Because of two reasons. The people moved to many places, and just go ecotourism and go to the jungle and observe the nature, something like that. That's the problem. That's why people go into the many areas, even the deep jungle, and this spread. He said that pathogens have a home. And the host species and pathogens live together to co-evaluate so that they can live together with no problem. The host family survive, and pathogens can live too. But if you go to the ecosystem, out of the ecosystem, it can cause of a pandemic or epidemic. He said parasites and the pathogens have evolved with the host species as a member of biodiversity. Parasites and the pathogens are members of biodiversity, playing important eco-functions. It's kind of hard to understand, but he said basically that's a virus or those pathogens become like a refugees because they lose a place to live. The animal species dying out, so that they no place to live. They try to find the home place to live. The pathogen, the virus, reside in animal quietly, but because the animals lost the place to live and they start to die out. So also the pathogens, the virus also lost their life, place to live. And they found human beings. They're good because so many. And they move around. So they spread where they live. So this is a widespread, he said, the Dr. Koka said. Maybe this pandemic is a similar situation. And also, we have to know that this virus, the COVID-19, is so different from like influenza, because the difference is so strong. I mean, the much more infectious virus than any other virus, like influenza, spreads wide range easily. And also, environmental adaptation is a strong environmental adaptation. So that's why it's different from the previous infection viruses. He said, because anybody can be a spreader with any symptoms, that's a scary part. But we have to know that we should know that we don't know where the virus is. And we should know we should do our best not to get the virus. Also, we have to try not to spread to others. That's important. So that's a management and the cooperation is important, not divided and conflict. Because we're going to have a new virus, probably. We have to be ready for that. There's many unknown viruses in this world. So biodiversity is very important. If this biodiversity is zoning is important, globalization is kind of cause of this pandemic. So building society in harmony with nature. So that's this research institute recommendation that we have to keep this biodiversity and localize so that even the new virus came, it doesn't spread to the world. Maybe some area we can handle. So we think about, I watched this YouTube, and think about this Konkokyo Declaration, that other humans we are all allowed to live by the great universe. We accept and respect all lives as being precious, and pledge to manifest in an ideal world where kami and people and all things live together through an interdependent relationship, interdependent Aiyo ka ke relationship. The biodiversity, we respect all the people too, right? The different opinion, ideas, but we respect the precious, but not only human beings. We respect nature, great universe. We're allowed to live, and nature, and even the pathogens, all the something we cannot see, or animals. We live together. We don't eliminate those things. We don't need to eliminate even the pathogens or some kind of virus that's cause problems, the illness, but we don't need to exterminate. But rather than live together. If you understand this, I think the perspective of this virus can be, I think we can have a different perspective for this pandemic virus. That I recently watched another YouTube that said the topic is, this virus is enemy for human. And they couldn't conclude, but they go to the different discussion that how to live. That's kind of actually a conclusion, more like a virus is the enemy or not. But probably it doesn't matter for us for how to live. That's a reflection actually. We have so many problems right now. But that's not the problem. New problem was how it is for longer ago, but we never pay attention. So think about, we talk about sometimes, yeah, this pandemic is a punishment from Kami-sama. God did this. Also, my wife said that because nature or earth, life, this happened. We alive, allowed to live, this happened. There's no intention, just happened. Lastly, I'd like to introduce one teaching from the Voice of the Universe, page 1, number 2. Voice of the Universe, page 1, number 2. The voice of the universe. Number 2, heaven and earth continue to live because heaven and earth are alive. All people are able to live. Heaven and earth continue to live because heaven and earth are alive. All people are able to live. So heaven and earth is alive. We are able to live. And we are, because of earth, heaven and earth is alive. This pandemic happened, the disaster happened, and still we're allowed to live. Maybe there's no intention, maybe it's not Kami-sama punishment, but Kami-sama tries to help us because we are beloved children of Kami-sama. But we respond that. I think we should take this very seriously, this pandemic seriously. We need to reform. We need to change. We cannot be arrogant. So this Konkokyo Declaration is very important to me. What we can see, what we need to do, how we can change. We should respect Kami-sama, we should respect earth, heaven, earth, we respect nature, we respect the people, we respect others, any other animals on earth. Thank you very much. I'd like to conclude today. But I'd like to hear 4K, I'm still, YouTube Live, so it's on YouTube, it's still the world, anybody can watch. But if you have any idea, thought regarding this pandemic, if you have, please share. I give a mic, and if not, we can discuss, we talk about later, yeah, after I conclude this. But it's kind of good opportunity to think what we should do as an individual, as a human beings, yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're asking for us to share.
Yeah.
One thing that I truly love about the Konko faith is Konkokyo faith is that the emphasis upon gratitude, and you can't have gratitude unless you acknowledge Kami's existence, and then you have to also acknowledge the wonder of Kami's creation, the planet, the trees, the birds, the mountains, everything. Everything that it comprises what we call Mother Earth. This is my personal opinion, is that yes, I see this pandemic as a deliverance of, you can call it a curse, or you can call it merit that humanity deserves, collective humanity, all of mankind, because they have not truly respected Kami, whether they call Kami God, Allah, or God, or whatever they may call him. I don't care whatever your religion is. That's another aspect of Konkokyo faith that I really respect, is its universality. So, people have, around the world, been pursuing their own individual happiness. And, of course, everybody wants to be happy. Even geckos and dogs want to be happy. It's natural to be happy and in harmony. But when that pursuit of happiness becomes more important than the collective good, whether the collective good is in your city, your state, your country, or in international relations. If your individual happiness is more important than all those other things, then you're not behaving as Kami would want us to behave. And I think that's desperately needed. So now, of course, the effects of the pandemic are such that the freedoms and the liberties that we enjoyed so fully before the pandemic, those freedoms are gone. And if you look back at the past to the pre-pandemic times, automatically you can say, oh, how wonderful it was that we had such freedom and opportunity. Opportunity to do what? To make your village, your town, your city, your state, and even the greater world a better place. So since you didn't take advantage of those opportunities, now you find yourself in the state that we are in now. And so, thank Kami. And even the administration of our government and the efforts of scientists, just yesterday they approved the second vaccine by Moderna. So these vaccines in the next few months, they are rolling out and people are receiving them. So it's obvious they will get a handle on this coronavirus. But who knows what may come after the coronavirus? Maybe a tsunami, maybe a hurricane, earthquake, we don't know. And I don't want to speculate as to what could or could not happen. But if people really take it to heart that, hey, we can't take freedom for granted, then you have to take responsibility. There's been a lot of beauty during the pandemic, like the food banks and the organizations that provide food, and even the CARES Act of our Congress to extend unemployment benefits Those are right and proper things to do. But if the people, these governments, they can't save the world on their own. The people themselves have to reflect upon heaven and the blessings of heaven and take responsibility, even as individuals, to care for more than their own individual happiness, but for the greater collective good. And I think if around the world people can really take that to heart and reflect on their responsibility, there's no true freedom without responsibility, because just like a parent, I mean, husbands and wives enjoy each other and the beauty of each other in their relationship. And once they have children, there's a new responsibility right there, and you can't close your eyes to it. You must take responsibility, because the child is dependent upon you. So likewise, the world is dependent upon us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anybody else, if you like to share? Yeah, the freedom, I have to admit, when before, wearing mask, I thought that doesn't make sense to protect myself, because the virus is so smaller, than the mask and thing. But I also learned that when you talk, the speech, the virus comes with saliva. And so that's if we wear mask, it is prevent to give your virus to others. So wearing mask is not to protect for you, but actually for others, right? To protect others. You don't want to spread to others. That's why we wear mask. So if I have a freedom to not to wear or to wear, I like to wear mask so that I don't need to spread to others. So that's kind of care, love. I actually didn't think about that when beginning with this pandemic. I think about myself. I don't want to get, virus. But it's different that if you care others, eventually you care yourself too. So that's I think that this. I watched YouTube. The Dr. Goka mentioned that cooperation is more important than conflict. But anyway, thank you very much. Maybe we have something else, so you can talk about later, if not now. Okay, I'd like to conclude today. I'd like to recite Tenchi Kakitsuken closing prayer. Thank you very much. Recitation of Tenchi Kakitsuken. Prelude to page 6. 生き神金光大臣天地神の神一心に願え、おかげは我が心にあり、今月今日で頼め。Pray sincerely, all your heart. You want to be the kami. Kami's blessing begin within. Heart, spiritual, and caring. In harmony and joy, look to Kami always, now and forever. On this very day, pray. Closing prayer. Dear divine parent of the universe, we are deeply grateful for the way mediation. We offer our faith gratitude for divine blessings, monetary, spiritual, temporary, and eternal. We pray that your divine favor be granted one and all, each and every day.
Thank you very much. So let us sing this Chinese instrument light. Hubert, please. Please rise if you're able. Thank you very much. Please be seated. Announcement. So next week, 26. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the wrong. Next week, 27, end of the year appreciation service at 9 o'clock. And after that, we have a church cleanup for end of the year. And 31st, we usually have a mochi making for New Year's Day, but we don't have it this year. But January 1st at 9 o'clock, 2021, we have a New Year's Day service as usual. 9 o'clock in New Year's Day at 9 o'clock. And then I will give a new next year 2021 schedule pretty soon. Any other announcement? No more? Okay. Thank you very much. This concludes today's Sunday service. Thank you very much.